So I would say communicate in simple terms, use simple language to ensure that communication is achieved. Show compassion. A deaf victim may be anxious and unable to communicate clearly. They may be scared. They may look to a SART member as someone who is unable to communicate with them, and then they will shut down and their behavior will change. So I think it's important to show compassion and to put your best face forward and work with them and say, hey, the deaf community advocate is on the way, or here's information that we have from the deaf program, a deaf brochure, here's the contact information that we have. Ensure that you have a good relationship with an interpreting agency to get qualified interpreters. Ensure that the interpreter who is coming, that someone can be there, be on site, be available. And as we wait for the deaf advocate to arrive on site and the interpreter to arrive on site, try your best to communicate and make sure that their needs are met. Get them a drink of water, ask and use gestures, to ask if, hey, do you want a blanket? Those gestures are easily understood by deaf individuals, and perhaps they want to rest. So writing back and forth in English using very simple language can ensure that that deaf person is comfortable and looking at them as a whole person.
A prosecutor's sensitivity is very important, as we all know. Many times we have the privilege of working with victims whose language we may not immediately understand. So we'll be working with interpreters. In working with interpreters, it's very important, first of all, to be guided by the expertise of the interpreter, who gives us guidance and counseling to the rate of speed that we would use, and to allow our witness, the victim, a fair opportunity to ask the question. This is an important aspect of the work that a prosecutor does, but I think the touchstone for all of this work is our shared humanity. Having the privilege, having the honor to work with the victim, and knowing that we share humanity is the touchstone for work that we do with an interpreter, for example. And when we go to court, a trial situation is very challenging for anyone, let alone a person who's suffered a serious crime. And when we have the opportunity of calling this victim for testimony in a trial, we'll be working with the interpreter to make sure that the victim's needs and emotions are truly respected at all times. We're going to want to speak as naturally as we would in this kind of a setting when we're talking. That is something that is very important for a prosecutor, out of sensitivity to another human being, that we would do to try to assure the victim, our witness, that we're there for her, that nothing has changed, that our role remains the same, that the relationship that we've built throughout the prosecution remains the same. We're simply in a more formal setting. So having had that chance to work with the interpreter and be guided by the interpreter, we've learned already, and so when we're in a trial situation, we're able to continue our relationship and to speak directly to the victim, benefiting from the expertise of the interpreter.